Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome one more time to, man, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh boy. Oh, bad time to catch me there. Thank you. Let me try that again. Good morning, and once again, welcome to Adventures of the Broken Retired. Don here with his maybe not so trusty remote, Elmer the Reckless remote. Uh, I with another video for you. So, sitting here in the office making these videos, which I really like doing this, and I super appreciate y'all being here and watching the videos. Thank you so much. I really am honored by y'all having interest. Uh, Thank you. Anyway, while I'm sitting there in the office making these videos, there's downtime you have. You got to wait for the video to sync, and you got to wait for it to download and that kind of thing. So I have a personal drive, shall we say, to try to always be productive. And so while I have that dead time, I go do stuff. And there's a trash can out in the garage. Today's take the trash out day, so I did that. And then there's a trash can out in the garage. I had to put a new bag in it. So I went out there while I was waiting just now for stuff to sink and stuff like that. I went out there and put a bag in the trash. And while I was there, I happened to look up and see this. This is what I'm referring to. This, in my personal opinion, is an absolutely gorgeous piece of wood. I have a fascination with wood. And I'll tell you about it. See the hole in it right here? That's because this is a used piece off of somebody's house. This is the only piece of it I have left. I made stuff with the rest of it. And this wood, this particular piece of wood, I found so interesting that I went out, I didn't go out, that I ordered a wood identifier kit, okay? And that kit consists of 30 or 40, maybe more, kind of veneers of different kinds of wood, and they're all labeled as to what they are and where they came from. So I wanted to find out what this was. I wanted to figure out what kind of wood this was, because I had my suspicions, but I wanted to find out. So I ordered it, and I went through one day and looked and looked and looked and looked, and there is no wood in here that matches this. Now, what that makes me believe is that there's a possibility, I don't know, I'm speculating. I think this is probably redwood. And one of the things that makes me think that is where it came from. I'm a waste not, want not kind of guy. If it's still good, I don't want to throw it away. That's part of the reason the office is such a mess, is because I save stuff and probably shouldn't. But anyhow, we worked on a house down by LSU that had a bunch of exterior trim and that had to be replaced. It wasn't rotted trim. It was eaten by squirrels. Squirrels will wreck your house. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but they used to make those jacks that come up out of your roof that cover pipes. They used to make those out of lead, and the squirrels used to love to eat the lead. Of course, they don't make them out of lead anymore because lead is lead. But anyway, so we were working on this house. This was it was another deck build, and it was a pretty big one too, if I remember correctly. It was pretty good size. We had to take the old deck out, which was an absolute disaster. It was 20 years overdue to be replaced. Then we put in a similar unit. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is this was trim. It was on the front of the house, and I found this by I would go to the job site with my truck, and as them guys were working, I would I'm out checking jobs and doing my job of go and look at jobs and estimates and talking to customers. And I would stop off at the job site, check, see how it's going, and we would load my truck up with as much of the debris as we could, and I would carry it off to the dump. Hang on. Excuse me. Oh, thank you. I'd carry it off to the dump and get rid of it, so I didn't have to pay guys to go to the dump. And putting a dumpster out in somebody's yard, if I could avoid a dumpster in somebody's yard, I would, because nobody wants to have them there. The big ugly things that kill the grass. The truck tears up the yard. So I'd haul it off myself and go pay to get rid of it. If it was all just like wood and drywall construction debris, no stinky trash, it was fairly cheap to get rid of. But anyhow, I'm at the dump one day and I'm emptying the truck out. And because I am a waste not, want not kind of guy, as I'm getting rid of stuff, I'm kind of eyeballing it as it goes through my hands to make sure of what it is. I don't want to throw away stuff I might want to use. I have a wood shop out in the garage, and I went and bought myself a metal detector to use for a nail finder so I don't ruin the blades on my machines. I would, while I was emptying the truck, I would kind of look to see what it was. Well, the piece that this comes from, when I went to throw it out of the truck, I looked at the broken end of it and I saw this color and thought to myself, man, I need to save that. So I was careful through emptying the truck that day to save, especially to save this, which I did. And I ended up making a bunch of stuff out of it. But what I did was I brought it home and ran it over with the metal detector, and then ran it through the planer and cut it down to this. And I ended up with, I guess, 5 or 6 pieces like this that were about 4 feet long, probably about 4 feet long. And I made stuff out of them. But it's just such a pretty piece of wood. And when you put a finish on it, I would always try really hard to make sure I didn't want to use anything that would change the color of the wood. I wanted to use finishes that would just enhance the grain, shall we say, or bring out the grain, make it glitter. So I was out in the garage one day working with this stuff, building a charcuterie tray, I think is what it was. And as I'm doing it, a thought came to my mind. And you're probably going to think I'm certified but crazy by the time I get done telling this one. And I very well may be. But if I could kind of get you to maybe close your eyes and I know a really good joke about closing your eyes. And it's a great place to tell the joke is on here, because a lot of people get scared with tell them to close their eyes, you're going to touch them. Well, I can't touch you. So anyway, what was I even thinking about? You're going to think I'm certifiably crazy when I tell you what came to my mind when I was dealing with this, making that charcuterie tray, dealing with this piece of wood. Here's this, right? Now, this is for what I find. This is what's going to make people think I'm crazy. Somewhere on Earth, and I doubt seriously that this is local, because I've never seen it before, never seen it after. It's the only job I ever came across something like this. Somewhere on Earth, there was a tree, and whatever sort of reproductive standard the tree had, whether it be a pine cone or an acorn or a tail, like pecan trees have the tails and the pecans themselves. So whatever reproductive form this tree had took place, and that seed or acorn or whatever it was dropped down to the ground, and somehow it managed to continue the life of its parent tree by sprouting into a small root, a little bitty sapling. And that sapling ended up living through being stepped on or being bulldozed over or being eaten by an animal or being destroyed by a fungus or being eaten by a bug. And somehow it continued to grow. It beat the odds because not every tree from everything that grows makes it. And it grew into a full-size, what we'll call harvestable tree. And then somebody went out there to that harvestable tree and cut it down and sliced it up and made it into whatever moldings or whatever boards, whatever it was. Obviously, some of it was moldings because that's where I found this. So it continued to live on as those moldings. And when the moldings got damaged by the squirrels and they got replaced, rather than being simply buried in a landfill, I pulled it out and made something else out of it. And I would assume that it was made as a gift. Someone bought it from me to give to someone else as a Christmas gift. I would assume that the product still lives on in their home. So the life that started out as the parent tree to the acorn, hang on. It started out as the parent tree to the acorn, to the full-size tree, to the harvest, to the cutting, to the shaping, to the installation, to the requirement to be replaced. It still lives on. And I think that that's one of the most wonderful things about working with wood, is that every piece that you deal with, although it can't talk, which I wish it could, each piece has its own tale to tell. Some more interesting than others. This would be a very interesting story to know the details on. And I'm bumping up against the time. I'm gonna have to go. I've enjoyed working with wood. It's been a lot of fun. And if you just think about the travels that piece of wood has had, it's really an amazing thing to ponder, something interesting to think about. Anyway, time to go. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell and all that kind of hooey. See how many clicks. It took 3 clicks a while ago to get the machine to turn off. Let's see what happens this time. Take us out of here, Elmer.